thank you all for being here today, this morning. I apologize for not being able to be there, but trust me, as the situation stands in Germany, you prefer me not to be there. So I'm going to talk about building the web in the web, which is a very ominous title, which means very fancy title. And my name is Sara, and I'm a developer at Sandbox. So what I mean by building the web in the web is that we have an amazing web. We have an amazing set of tools that we can use to build these things. And if you think about it, the way that JavaScript has evolved and the way that even browsers have evolved over the years has allowed us to build bigger and better things in the web. We can do pretty much anything that we can do on native in the web. Even there is, even there is a file system API. Everything that we can do on native, we can basically do on the web. And that's basically what I'm going to demonstrate today. So I'm going to use Sandbox, which is completely built using web technologies. And I'm going to build something and I'm going to deploy it so that you can see that there is potential in the internet today. There is potential in the browsers for things that we can build. And we can work with this to build better tools for us developers to build the web in the web, since I think it makes sense for us to build in the medium that we want to deliver it to. Okay, so like I said, my name is Sara. You can follow me on Twitter at NikiFTW, and that's basically all of the README. And today we're going to make a small app, and I'm going to use the Kanye REST API, which is a free REST API for Kanye West quotes. I feel like we should do something like even just remotely funny because of the way the world is now. Let's just do something even remotely funny. So if I go to API.Kanye.REST, this will give me a quote. Okay, cool. So we're going to make this API. We're going to put it into a React app, and we're going to show a basic React app that's going to be on GitHub, and it's going to be deployed. So let's start. Yeah, okay, cool. So I have export function app, and I'm just going to move this into being ES6, export default, and I'm going to do this just to appease myself, basically. And now let's get this API. So this is the URL, and I'm going to say import React, and I'm going to need use state to set the local state, and I'm going to need use effect to be able to call this API inside of an effect so that it won't have any issues. So what use effect is very confusing, but it basically allows you to run any side effects inside of a contained block. So in this case, I want to run a side effect of fetching this API in a contained block when the page loads. Okay, so how do you run use effect only when the page loads? We can do that by running use effect and then getting a function, closing this function, and then as the last parameter, pass an empty array. So what happens is you can pass an array, and whatever is in here is basically anything that will change. But since it's empty, nothing will change. I know that it feels like a hack, and it still does to me, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's what people from React have told me. It's just like, just don't worry about it. So let's get fetch. And one thing is that I can't async inside of a use effect. So I'm going to create a new function. And this can actually be, I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to say const get data equals async. And it's going to return something. And now I'm just going to say const data equals await fetch this URL that then to JSON. So a.json. And let me just do something so that you can see this more properly. So I'm going to go to my user settings. And I am pretty sure there's like a wrap thing. Editor wrap off, editor wrap on. Beautiful. And apparently, yeah, okay, it wrapped like literally in here, which is kind of dumb, but you know what, you know what's up. Okay, so then if I go into this API, I can see that it just returns a quote. So then I just need to return data.quotes. Quote. And that's not how you type return. This is how you type return. Beautiful. So now in here, I'm going to say get data. And then, like I said, you can't do an async, so I have to do it then. And let me just console.log what I get. Console.log, not all console, just console.log. So if I come here, I probably need to reload so it builds all the things. It says I'm a creative genius thing. So it went here and it got a request and it did an API call. All good. So how can we continue with this? Let's use state. So I'm going to say const quote and set quote equals use state. And let's start with null so I can check it. And I just want to say then set quote. Cool. That's pretty much it. And then in here, if I say quote, there you go. It doesn't say that it's loading. It should. OK, so let's build that. So I'm going to say if data, show this. And if not data, let's just show an H1 that says wait of tad fam. And close that H1. And now close that thing. And there is no data because I called it quote. That makes sense. And it says wait, and then it says this. OK, but what if we want more quotes to show up when we click a button? Cool, so let's add a button. OK, so first of all, I need to wrap this in a fragment because, you can't have two JSX elements be returned together. I honestly would like to know why, but I don't because I don't want to look into the React source code because I like my life. Yeah. So let's create a button. And this button is going to say on click. And in here, I'm just going to call a function called get more. Get more. And now I can say like get more quotes. Get another quote. I can type English. Quote. Sorry, that was like a fly here. Berlin, get out. There we go. OK, so now if I get more is not defined, which makes sense because we didn't define it. OK, so we're going to say it's basically the same thing as this use effect. So we're going to say const get more. Okay, so I can explain a lot of my weird typing by the fact that I have two keyboards, but the internet in my studio is not that good. Apparently, a 13-inch MacBook can only get like 50 megabytes of internet, like 3 meters away. So let's create this function, which for now does nothing. So literally what it should do is this. It gets data, and then it sets a quote. So if I get another quote, it will just get another quote. Damn, that's a big quote. OK, there we go. So as you can see, my internet's pretty fast here, so that's nice. OK, so let's style this a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this style.css, and I want to add a font family. So I'm going to add Roboto. So I can come here to Google Fonts and type RO, say Roboto. So it's added as an external resource. I can close this again. And if now I say Roboto, you need to say it in quotes. So Roboto. Look how fancy. Everything fancy now. Isn't that great? So text align center, and let me style this H1. And this main should have a max width of like 80% and a width of like 960 in homage to the old days. And now a margin of auto and a margin top. I've done a lot of CSS in my life, as you can see. 50 pixels. There we go. Or we can even do something else. Since we only have a main, we can come to the body and we can say, so first margin 0, and then we can say display flex, and then we can say align items center. Whoop. And justify content. Apparently that C is not working. Justify content center. And since we only have a main, I can remove this. And now it's aligned, and I'm going to give it height of 100%. To under VH, which basically means 100. VH means it's like the height of in height, basically. I forgot what V means, but H means height, so that's nice. Margin 0, let me add a padding of 0 to this as well. And there we go. So now in the H1, let me remove all the paddings and the margins so that we can actually style it properly. Now that it's in the middle. And now everything slaps together. That is beautiful. Next step, let's make it look like slightly nicer. So font weight bold. Okay, so I can't do that because font weight is the last one. Font weight bold. And now a margin bottom of 20 pixels. And one thing that I've learned from my life as a wannabe designer that's not actually a designer is never use pure black and never use pure white. So let's get a fancy, like almost black color. And let's go to the body and say color equals this. And apparently that makes people seem to think that it's less like scary. So let's hope that that works. Let me go to the color picker again, and let me use an off-white as a background color. And there we go. Beautiful. It looks literally almost the same to me. Okay, good. We're gonna stay with this one. This one is nice. Let's make a button. Let's make the button look nicer. I'm gonna give it a padding of 8 pixels, 12 pixels. Don't ask me, I just memorized this number for some reason. Border radius, let's give it like 2 pixels. And a font weight of bold. I can just copy this from here. Oh, no, here. There we go. Font weight of bold. And a border of none. Box shadow. So I have no idea how to do box shadows properly. So you can also just do this and come here, because this is the only way that I know how to do box shadows. So we're going to wait until my computer decides that it's time to open the Elements tab. There we go. It decided. That's cool. So 1 pixel, 2 pixels. I'm going to say 5 pixels. RGBA 0, 0.3 or something like that. And now we can see that it looks terrible. So I can come here and click the things in Google Chrome to make it not look terrible. So that looks better. And let me even set it with less. And there we go. So that doesn't look terrible. Okay, we can copy this box shadow. Cool. Thank you, Chrome. So copy this box shadow here. And let's give it another color just for the funsies. Pick color. No, wrong button. Color picker. I know that this app is not like the prettiest app, but I'm like, this thing works. And I'm not going to look for another goddamn like color picker app, because there are so many apps in the App Store right now. It's honestly kind of insane. So here's like one pretty, okay, I'm not going to say pretty, but like doable. So background color, there we go. And we get this. And now it looks okay. Let me set a color to white. Not white, like I said, never use only all white. And now I can come here and do this. And that looks terrible. But at least we're trying, right? Wait, where's that? So there's this thing here that sometimes works even in my... There we go, beautiful. Okay, let's get it darker. Like this. There we go. Okay, so now this looks like way better, right? Let me just add a margin. 40 pixels. Okay, so let's imagine that we're happy with this. Okay, so I get another quote. And let me add a min width to this button of 200 pixels or something like that. There we go. So, okay, let's say that we're happy with this, okay? Let's imagine that this is our life and we're happy with this. So now we want to push this to GitHub. So we want to keep this in track. Okay, so let's do that. Excuse me. Okay, so you can create a GitHub repository. Okay, so let's call it Kanye West FW. And I'm going to create this repository. It's doing it. And you can see that the page completely reloaded. And now we're in this GitHub, that's my name, and then Kanye West and master. So if I go on my GitHub, which sounds like a very, like, not a good thing to do on a live talk, but let's go on my GitHub. It's not like it's a graveyard of projects that I've never finished. Okay, so I'm lucky that I work like on an open source project, because that would have been not good. Okay, so if I go on your repositories, not mention it the sites, we have something. We have Kanye West.fw. And as you can see, you even have the thing of like the README file, which I didn't specify very well. And it says created with code Sandbox, and it gives you a link. Okay, so now this is the permanent link to master. So if I save this, it's gonna like fork it and give me a new link so that I can work on it. And you can see that there's a problem. For example, there was a problem with the Roboto font. So let's add it back here and add the font. And let's make just one small change so that we can see how we can keep track. So it says changes 0. There are no changes. Okay, I have no idea what to change, but let's just do that. And add some spacing here. And let's actually like call this a name. So I am going to say const app equals, and let's say export default app, because, you know, it's a better way of doing things. And let me move the get data outside because it actually doesn't need anything from the state. It's a completely separate thing. Okay, so now we have this, and there's two things you can do. So let's say that you own this repository. You can just make a commit. So I'm going to say like clean code, lol, and I can commit or open a PR. I'm going to open a PR. So it says forking repository and creating PR. And so it's going to give me a link to GitHub. It opened in another page. And now if I open this, when my computer decides that that may be a good time, I can create a pull request. And it created me a branch. And I have a pull request with one file changed. Okay, cool. So I can review these changes. And pull authors can't approve their own pull request. Okay, that makes sense. That's cool. Okay, so I'm going to merge pull request. So now, if I come here and I go to the other thing that I have, so the other link was master. Not C master, but just a master. And it's loading. It's giving me all the new juicy things. Okay, cool. So if I come here and I'm in master, you can see that all of these things have been updated. You completely updated it with what we did, basically. You can also just commit directly. So apparently there's a problem with Roboto. So I'm just I cannot edit because this is in master. So I need to fork it. And then I can say sans serif, for example, so that if there's a problem with Roboto, it doesn't like, there we go. Beautiful. There is like the fancy Apple thing that you can do, which is, there we go. There we go, beautiful. So if there's no Roboto, it returns to this. Okay, cool. So now we can make another commit and say like default to better font. Okay, and commit this. Okay, so the next step that we want to do when we are making something like this, like even if it's small, is that we usually want to deploy it. We usually want to like put it somewhere in the web, right? So if we go to deployment, you can deploy to site now, or you can deploy to Netlify. I'm going to use Netlify just because, and I'm going to click this button. And it says that it's building, and there's a link to visit site, which doesn't work yet. So if I come here, it's just going to say like not found, and it continues saying that it's building. Okay, so there is a link now that says view logs, and we can view the logs of what's happening, like how long this is going to take, and we can see like all of the things happening, which is pretty nice. Yeah, so now we just, all of us stand here and look at the really not pretty modal that I made for logs in Netlify. I think the main reason I keep showing Netlify is because I made it and I'm like, somebody needs to use this so that like my tiers are called for and I'm a happy human being again. So it's doing it. It's going to do it eventually. The weirdest thing is that I can't like ask things to the audience when it's like everything is stopped and I just need like 1 minute of filling time, is that I can't like go to the audience and just ask anything when it's online. And I just got to make my own like time. And it's, I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling with the non-jokes thing. So it's starting to build. I'm going to close this because it doesn't have to be open. And as you can see, I can still come here and say view logs. And it's going to tell me the same thing. And then it's going to say like, okay, so it started npm install. And as always, it installed core.js. I have no idea which app doesn't have core.js. So, and okay, cool. So let's leave this at this, okay? And let's come here. And if I go to the app.js, I'm using double quotes, which is something that I personally don't like. And I also don't use semicolons. So we can come here and create a prettier.rc. Nailed it. And so no semicolons and use single quotes. And if I come here, oh, I didn't save it. Sorry. So Command S, save it. And now if I come here and save, look how beautiful it is. And the sandbox was deployed in the background. That is cool. Okay, so if I view the logs, I think I can't see it after it's been deployed. So if I do visit site, it tells me there's a React app here. Okay, so this is a thing that's not cool. It says React app on the top. Let's fix that. Let's reload this just for the sake of it. Let's go to public index. There we go. And let's say Kanye quotes. Boom. And let me do all of the normal things. So update, commit, so that you can see that you can actually like have a pretty normal continuous deployment thing, and then deploy to Netlify. And now we're going to be stuck in the same problem that we had like 2 minutes ago, where we have to wait for Netlify. And I'm just sitting here waiting for Netlify in my pajama pants. At least I'm in my pajama pants, so that's nice. So we're waiting for the build to start. If you're wondering, why do the modals not look like the rest of the website? There is a PR that I did for that. I wanted it to be merged before today, but it did not get merged before today, so now we have to stare at the old modals. They are a completely different color, and it bothers me too. Don't worry. If there's anyone with like a designer eye that's like, why does this not look okay? It's because we didn't merge it on time. Okay, so this is gonna run the build. This usually takes about 2 minutes, but like if you stare at something that's gonna take 2 minutes, that thing is gonna take about 10 minutes. And that's just how it works. So let's just do something else while this does it. So this is the normal file that we have. And we also have a fab icon here, which we can change if we want. So this goes to public URL fab icon, which at this point, there is none. So as you can see, so if you want to add a fab icon, that also works. So to upload files, let me see if I have any fab icons here. I probably do in downloads. Since I make a lot of random apps, I probably have a fab. There we go, fab icon package. What did I tell you? Okay, so let me pass this fab icon in here. And it's uploading the file, and there we go. And now we have a fab icon that we can use to also see things, which here we go. It's building it. And let me upload the fab icon, add fab icon, for example, and commit. My commit messages are, you think that I'm just doing this because I'm trying to be fast, but in reality, these are my commit messages. It's just like things have been done in this commit. I have lived life in this commit. Okay, finished uploading 6 assets and Sandbox deployed. And so if we go to visit site, I'm going to click this just again. And you can see that it says Kanye quotes. Okay, cool. So what was the purpose of this random website that says Kanye quotes? The purpose was that also, okay, let me just show you one more thing. So if I go here and I click claim site, I can, this is not, okay, I can add this project to my Netlify dashboard. So which means that now it's here. And I can change the domain and do things like that. So I'm going to come here and I have this domain called .env.dev. Wait, yeah, .env.dev. Okay, let's come here and let's say that, oh yeah, you can't paste things here. It's the weirdest, like it's just weird. So you can't paste anything that has HTTPS in it. So I'm going to call it like Kanye. There we go. Verify, and it's going to say like this already has a domain. An owner, is it you? Yes, it is me. I am the owner of this domain. Okay, so now if I go here, it's here. So if I click deploy to Netlify again, just for the sake of it. So anytime it gets pushed in here, so if I go to general, overview deploys. So you can see that it even says site deployed from code sandbox. Okay, so what was the point of me just building this app? Like just for the sake of it. So what I want to show you is that there is great potential in the way the internet is built today. We can do everything. So for example, the thing that we're editing here is basically VS Code. It's not basically VS Code, it's like actual VS Code, because the reality is, I just got to release notes. That's nice. This is exactly what I needed right now. Thank you, VS Code. So as you can see, like this is literally VS Code. If I change my theme to Night Owl, so I'm going to go type theme. So this is Command-Shift-P, which is the same thing as VS Code. And I'm going to say color theme, and I'm going to say Night Owl. There we go. This is literally my VS Code, except the icons. So if I come here and I reload this page, you now have a fab icon. So you can see that it got uploaded to the deploys, and then it got the new domain. Let me close the deploys. Yeah, so what I mean to show you is that literally everything that you want to build in the web is pretty much possible at this point. You can upload files, you can see file directories, file systems, anything. It just requires more permissions. But if you have one of the new MacBooks, like everything requires permission. So it's basically the new MacBooks treat websites like their apps like their websites. And it's just kind of weird, but that's what they're doing. And the point here is not to say that, oh, look, Code Sandbox is amazing. I mean, it kind of is, but I work on it. So I'm kind of like biased on that. But my objective in here is to tell you that you can build this. You can make something to allow everyone to build things in the web. There are things like Blocks UI even, which allow you to drag and drop stuff using React components. We built an entire spectrum of things to help people build CLIs. And now I think it's the time where we step out and try to build things to allow us to build the web in the web so that we can use the medium that we're used to actually build the internet that we love. And all of the code for the front end of Code Sandbox is open source, for example. So you can take a look of how we implemented VS Code and everything, and build your own tool to help you deploy things. It doesn't have to be a company. It doesn't have to be you, just Code Sandbox. But if there's something that you should know is that anything is possible to be built on the web these days. Pretty much everything. And I just wanted to show you what are the possibilities while like also doing some React. And I think that's the best way to get people to understand how things work. I think is by doing a lot of like live coding. I don't know. And also I don't mind live coding. So I'm actually get quite chill with live coding. And yeah, so that was my talk. And again, I am very sorry that I couldn't be there. And yeah, I hope you liked it. And yeah, that's about it. So if you want to check out Code Sandbox, codesandbox.io, you can build whatever you want. You also can build APIs with it. So if I go to create Sandbox and sure, why not? It's a body parser example. And it says servers temporarily unavailable. Thank you. That's nice. Wow. Okay. So this is just because like I was trying to show something different and it went all bonanzas on me. So one thing that you can do is say this thing says container is starting, and you can usually like restart sandboxes. So let me go and create Sandbox and let me go on a node one. So if I type node, or just give me a node HTTP server, and I am pretty sure there's a problem with our containers. But everyone is asleep. So there's nothing I can do. Okay, so that was a good talk. But you can usually do this. I am just saying. So let me go to my dashboard, which shows like all the recent sandboxes. And I have like something called like fake API fake API comments. And it's also a container sandbox. Yeah, so there's a problem with our container sandboxes, which is the perfect time for this to happen. Cool. But I can promise you that it did work yesterday. And if you come here this afternoon, it's going to work. I promise you. I'm going to yell at people. I'm not going to yell at people. Okay, I don't know how to yell. Yeah, so good talk. I'm sorry about the problems here. And I hope my internet was good enough. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, the floor is open. And by the floor, I mean, you know, the internet is open. And please ask me anything. And I'm going to stop presenting.
Is there an offline mode in the Code Sandbox?
There is. So Code Sandbox usually works offline, but you can't install dependencies. So what we use for dependencies is unpackage, which means that we need to go get a fetch request. So you can't install dependencies on top of what you already have when you were online, basically. So you can, offline works up until a point where, so imagine that you were online building something, and then you went offline. That's fine as long as you don't install dependencies.
Okay, so the next question. Sara, do you think, is it harder to handle a Next.js app with SSR in this way? Are there any other edge cases?
Is it harder to handle a Next.js app in this way? So I don't think it's, I think like entering anything that is SSR. Okay, so just the people at Code Sandbox know there's something wrong with the container. So there is harder things to handle in SSR apps. So you can still, so the way that we do this is that you can still deploy it. You can only deploy it to Zeit, for example. But I think it's about the same. You can also, you can edit Babel config. So the thing that I wanted to show you with the containers is that you can edit Babel configs, you can edit Webpack configs, you can edit everything. So the thing that this does in the containers part is that it literally runs npm start. So in that case, you can do anything. You can do pretty much anything. And I would tell you to go, you can also have a Next.js like starter app. So it's a bad timing, but I will tell you to check it out like after this talk, like probably after 2 hours or something, and it should be okay.
Okay, thank you for the answer. So the next question is there a possibility to sync files from OS file system and Sandbox?
We are thinking about doing that. So if you think this is a good idea, please create an issue. And we're thinking about doing that, but we're not sure how much it is like actually like a thing that people want. And one thing that I want to say about this product is that we have discussions now on GitHub, the new feature of GitHub. And if you have an idea and if there's something that you think will improve your workflow that you would like to see built, please let us know because we don't know. Like we work with this every day. And we don't quite know like exactly what people want. And I think this is a trap that a lot of products fall into. It's like we just get to a point where we work with this so much that we don't know. And I would tell you to create a discussion there. And it's something that we can see and see if it is like completely possible and see if we can even sync it with VS Code or something like that. And it'd be nice. So right now, no. And I'll tell you to please create a discussion so that we can talk about it. It's completely open source, so it'd be nice.
Okay, so the next question is nice extension. How can I find it?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, there was a question. Nice extension. How can I find it?
What extension?
Let's ask people in chat.
Yeah, can you ask what extension? Because like I have like 300 extensions. I have a problem with extensions.
Okay.
If it's the color picker, let me check.
Yeah, so there is like a little delay with the video and online.
Yeah.
So extension about the color picker.
It's called Colorzilla. Like Godzilla, but with I don't know. It's called Colorzilla. It's on the Chrome App Store.
Okay, thank you. So it does look like there is any more questions. So thank you for your talk. And you guys can find Sara in Twitter. So I'll write her nickname in the chat. So you can just continue chatting with her if you have any more questions. And in a couple of minutes, we will continue with Mateus Albuquerque with his talk. So see ya.
Bye.